Hey everybody, so I want to talk a little bit about the Detroit Red Wings and how they are just not quite ready to take that next step yet, not ready to push themselves up into being a playoff level team. And before we get into the video, I just want to quickly remind everyone to please hit that like button and give this video a thumbs up. That greatly helps out the channel. And also, if you're not yet a subscriber, to please hit that subscribe button and follow along for all my hockey content this season and all year round. So most of you are probably saying, yeah, Detroit, not a playoff team. Obviously, no shit. Tell us something that we don't know. But, Detroit's a team that they have really good pieces there. I think they have a bright future. I like the direction that they're headed in. They're obviously still in a rebuild mode, but there are some really good pieces there, and we've seen some of those pieces play really, really well this season. That top line of Dylan Larkin, Anthony Mantha, and Tyler Bertuzzi has been fantastic. I'm a huge Dylan Larkin fan. I really, really like that kid and what he brings to the table. I think he's a really good player. I think he should be the captain of the team. And I think he's going to be, their guy going forward. Anthony Mantha is having a breakout season this year, scoring goals and really putting up great offensive numbers to start the season. I think he's got 7 goals already this year. Tyler Bertuzzi's having a good offensive year as well, racking up points. When he brings that grit and that edge to the game that, is nice to have, in your lineup. And he's kind of that agitator. He gets in people's faces. He's not afraid to stir the pot, but he's also a good player, and he can bring offense as well. It's not like he's just some fourth-line scrub who's just there to fight. No, he brings that physicality, and he stirs the pot, but he also brings a lot to the table as far as offense and just playing hockey goes. Detroit is set for the future with those 3 guys right there, but obviously they still have a ways to go, and nothing represents that more. Nothing epitomizes that more than the last 2 games for the Detroit Red Wings, and just showing that yes, they have a bright future. They have some good pieces, but they just are not there yet. They are not ready to take that next step. And I think a couple nights ago against Vancouver was the perfect example of that. They take a 2-0 lead into the third period. They're up 2-0 at home against the Canucks. Heading into the third period, 99% of the time, a team taking a 2-0 lead into the third is going to win that game. You would think, any good team is going to win that game. You cannot blow that game. They give up 5 unanswered goals in the third period and lose that game 5-2 to Vancouver. 5 unanswered in one period to lose the game. I mean, that is brutal. That's a brutal loss for the Red Wings. And then they play last night. Next night, they're on the road in Ottawa. So that's a difficult second half of a back-to-back, travel in between on the road, but it's Ottawa. It's freaking Ottawa, the worst team in the league. You go to Ottawa, and honestly, they weren't even in that game last night. They ended up losing 5-2, but that game was never close. The Senators, they just got the doors blown off by the freaking Ottawa Senators. And those are games that you cannot lose if you're a team that's going to take the next step, if you're a team that is going to move up in the standings, if you're a team that is ready to make a playoff-type push like we think, Arizona is out west, Vancouver is out west, Florida in the East potentially going from that non-playoff spot to a playoff team. If you're going to take that jump, those are games that you have to win, and Detroit wasn't able to win either of them. Losing in Ottawa on the second night of a back-to-back, you can kind of see that. But the blowing the 2-goal lead in the third to Vancouver, and not only blowing a 2-goal lead, but giving up 5 unanswered goals is just, that's brutal. That is brutal. And I think it just shows that Detroit is, while they've got some good pieces there, while they've got some talent there, they're still not ready yet. They're 3-7 now on the season through their first 10 games. They have a league worst -15 goal differential now. And they started the season 3-1. They started the year 3-1, and it looked like, hey, maybe Detroit's got something. The top line's playing really well. Maybe this is a team that's going to be better than we expected. They've lost 6 in a row now. 6 in a row. It's been a rough start for the Red Wings, and I really don't see it getting any better. The only 2 teams lower than them in the standings are Ottawa, the aforementioned Senators, and the New York Rangers, but the Rangers have only played 7 games, so they've got 3 games in hand to pick up a point and pass Detroit. So Detroit basically is second to last in the Eastern Conference right now. And it's been a rough go for the Red Wings, and obviously, they haven't been good in a number of years now. It's been a while since we've seen them in the playoffs. I think, 2015, I think, was the last time we saw them in the playoffs. Maybe it was 2016. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's been a few years. And you got to wonder, how much longer is Jeff Blashill going to be the coach? I certainly don't blame Jeff Blashill for what's happened in Detroit. It's not all his fault. This was a team that Mike Babcock knew what he was doing when he got out of Detroit, when he left. He knew that this was a team with an aging core, a team that had their glory days, won their Stanley Cup, and was going to be on the decline. And Babcock left rather than go through a rebuild with the Red Wings, Babcock left, went to Toronto, a team that was already rebuilding and actually starting to rise. And listen, Babcock might be overrated, but he's not dumb. And he knew exactly what he was doing. And he knew that Detroit was headed for a full-on rebuild and was going to need it. And Blashill took over when Babcock left and kind of got stuck with this mess. But Blashill's been there for 4 years now, I think. I don't remember. It's either 4 or 5. I think he's been there for 4. But he's been the coach through this entire rebuild so far. And, I think this team's going to want to start seeing some improvement. And what we've seen so far this year is a 6-game losing streak and a 3-7 record. So I don't know if they would do it mid-season. I think with a young team like this might be a good place to let Blashill finish out this season and then maybe make an off-season coaching change and let someone come in and start fresh next year. But I gotta think that this is probably Jeff Blashill's last chance or last season with the Detroit Red Wings, unless this team somehow, gets really hot, has a good stretch, and maybe does show some significant improvement over where they've been the last couple seasons. But listen, Stevie Y's in there now running the show. Blashill is not his guy. Blashill's a holdover from the Ken Holland regime and has been there. Stevie Y's coming in now, taking over that team, might want to get one of his own guys in there. And just the fact that we haven't seen a whole lot of improvement. We've seen improvement from individual players for sure, but as a team, as winning, as far as winning goes, we haven't seen a whole lot of improvement from the Red Wings over the last couple of years. And it doesn't seem to be getting any better this year. So I got to think that Blashill might be on his way out. And there's still roster moves to be made in Detroit. Yes, they have some really good young forwards and a lot of forward talent. I still think they need another top 4 defenseman. They need a young defenseman is really what they need, whether that's through the draft or through through maybe offer sheeting someone, or they need like a Josh Morrissey, Charlie McAvoy, Zach Werenski type defenseman, somebody that is in their early 20s and is going to be a stud in the future and a future top pair defenseman, if not already a top pair defenseman. And they need that. They don't have a lot on the back end there as far as high-end talent. And they need a goaltender of the future. Jimmy Howard is not going to last forever. He's 30-plus now, and they've got to find a long-term solution at goalie because it is not Jimmy Howard at this point. So there's obviously still work to be done in Detroit, but like I said, they do have a lot of good pieces. They have a lot of talent and a lot of guys that I think are going to be good players in the future, and I think this team is going to be good in the future, but they're showing that so far this year that they are not ready yet. They are not ready to take that next step. They're not ready to push. They're not ready to really climb in the standings, and I think we're going to once again see the Detroit Red Wings down, probably second to last in the division again, near the bottom of the Eastern Conference. And that's just what they are at this point. And then we'll see if they make a coaching change. I think they're probably going to, if not during the season, at the end of the season. I think Blashill's probably out. And they just got to get a new voice in there. And they got to try and keep this rebuild headed in the right direction. And in the next year or so here, they've got to show some sign of improvement. It's been a couple years now. They got to start moving in the right direction as far as wins go. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.